Bold and Brash, it's been a while since you and I spoke to one another, and I feel like that is unhealthy. We should be communicating on a routine basis about the stupid things we both encounter in this world. And I want to confide in you something. I thought this year nothing could be dumber than the woman who thought it'd be a great idea to unconsensually lust after children and decide to pin it on her weight program. Because when you're trying to either lose or gain weight, you got to understand the scientific ramifications of that. Because when you're either trying to bulk up or slim down, you got to worry about that factor about looking at children walking across the aisle at Walmart and saying, ooh, because that's a really important thing to think about when you're suffering through trying to either gain or lose weight. And I don't make any sense, but I have to sit here and try to see the irony in that stupidity, because how else could anyone rationalize stupid people? It's never a good idea to do it, but sometimes people need to be understood just so that we could point and laugh at how stupid they truly are. Because I think you and you watching all agree that touching children is wrong and making an excuse for it is wrong. And the excuse being your weight loss is stupid and should be mocked, and she should be thrown under the jail. And at current point in time, it's getting worse for that sicko bitch.
New tonight, more teenage students in Morgan County are now coming forward, and they're accusing a former teacher of. Ashton Hackman is in Morgan County to explain why the prosecutors are now looking to bring even more charges against this woman.
31-year-old Brittany Fortenberry has been held here at the Morgan County Jail since her arrest last month on charges of. Since then, 5 new victims have come forward with additional allegations. Prosecutors have asked to file up to 24 additional criminal charges against her, including 10 counts.
Oh, bunch of nasty.
And 13 other charges for disseminating material harmful to minors and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Court documents say all of the teens reported Fortenberry would send them
bunch of nasty
videos on Snapchat and force them to have groups at her Martinsville home. A child victim advocate says it's important for parents to feel comfortable having difficult conversations with their children.
And what we just encourage is that parents kind of ask that open-ended question, and they give their children a chance to speak, and then they praise their courage at that time rather than asking them questions about what they did or why they didn't tell. The last thing that we want is a child to feel blame or shame as a result of making a disclosure.
We reached out to the Morgan County Prosecutor's Office to see when these formal charges will be filed. We have not yet heard back. In Morgan County, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.
And I thought, Bold and Brash, that the world wouldn't give me anything quite as stupid as that. Because how can you truly top a woman thinking that she could pin her lusting of children on weight gain? What could be dumber than that? Well, let's throw in a drag queen, and let's throw in another child who is the victim of a drag queen lusting via a dating app.
A 35-year-old man now facing charges after a September arrest, also pulled from a scheduled appearance at Phoenix Pride.
You've been arrested for 2 counts. 2 felonies.
Court records indicate Michael Browder met a 13-year-old who told police he posed as 18 on an online dating application. Court records indicating they later met in person.
It's important to remember that those age restrictions are there for a reason.
Elena Zavalza with mental health provider and Valley nonprofit Not My Kid says it's vital for parents to be aware of what kids have access to online, but also keep open communication lines so kids can come to parents before any problems escalate.
Maybe asking questions out of curiosity, not using the blame game and saying, like, I know you're talking to people, I know that they're going to be bad people. Maybe asking those questions as to, like, oh, what have you been doing on social media? Like, is there anything interesting? Have you made any friends? What does that look like?
Court paperwork says an officer recognized Browder as, quote, a known Phoenix drag queen. Phoenix Pride issuing a statement removing Aubrey Galici, Browder's drag persona, from this year's Pride Festival, saying in part, quote, the crime alleged is one that we find reprehensible and entirely contrary to what Phoenix Pride stands for. A judge set a $10,000 secured appearance bond and issued an ankle monitor if Browder made bail.
No contact with any minors. You're not to possess any weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
The court paperwork also details an additional adult that allegedly met that teenager. We asked Phoenix police if they've made another arrest or identified that other person. They encouraged us to submit a public records request for the police report, a document which we are now awaiting.
And we could talk about the ramifications of parents not doing a good job monitoring their children, because your children are always going to be bombastic. They're always going to try something that they're not at the right age to try. So it's a good idea to add into this conversation parents' responsibility in making sure that their children are remaining safe. You're not a tyrant. You're not evil. You're a parent making sure that your child is safe, and no one with a brain could truly fault you. But you notice in what I just showed you, they didn't really bullet point the excuse. Now, I want you to think, what could be an excuse for getting it on with a child via a dating app? It will always center around that age and how one didn't know versus knew what they were getting themselves into. And in the moment where you realize, okay, I'm about to meet up with this person, that should be that significant time from a distance where you see the potential person you're meeting and realize, uh-oh, this is something I probably shouldn't be engaging in. And that should be your come to Jesus moment where you go home. Not when you go into the home of said minor and you get it on and then you get arrested and you tell the cops, hey, it was too dark in there. I couldn't see to verify ages. Because what the fuck are we talking about when we're sitting here and contemplating getting it on with either the opposite or the same sex? And we're sitting here thinking about it in the ramifications of a crime because a child is involved. And while lying about your age is wrong and will be a point of conversation that people bring up in subjects like this, I will always fault the adult more because you're the one, supposedly, with the more functioning brain. And you in that moment, looking at the cops, realizing that your life has flashed before your eyes to the point where your own group of friends don't even want you associating with any of their events. You realize that the perfect time to come up with the dumbest excuse is right now, and you blame it on the dark. I just want everybody to imagine for a moment that put me in this weird little scenario where I'm somehow in the moment of consensually about to get it on with an adult, because Leon don't like none of your children and despises the next generation. Imagine little old Leon about to get it on with a woman consensually and everything's just pitch black. Don't you think in somebody's mind you would have it, can somebody turn the light on before I get shanked and all my kidneys are gone? Because that's my thought process. I'm not thinking, my kinky role play is about to enact right now. I'm thinking I'm about to die. So you in that moment thought, okay, this makes sense. And it didn't make sense. And now for a long time, you're going to get a nice, comfortable jail cell. And, I don't know where my phone is, but I seemingly feel the need to make a call to Big Tyrone because he's been putting in a lot of work recently. And who among us could truly fault him for a job well done? Enjoy your time with the lights on and off. At times you can't decide because you deserve the fiery pits of hell and nothing else. And for everybody else, I'm glad me and Bold and Brash could give you something to just ease your mind, because in a world full of all this stupid, at least in the moment we could recognize the beauty in criminals suffering even when they're trying to lay out the dumbest of excuses. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah! Mwah! Goodbye.